deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth. It's deeper than music, deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. It's deeper than music, deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth. It's deeper than music, deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. It's deeper than music, deeper than music.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Deeper Than Music Radio. Behind every great song, there's an even greater story.
Can you hear me good?
Say to everybody listening, today we have a very special guest, huge star. She was recently on Black Girls Rock award show. Her music is known throughout the world. I'm talking about hits like Finally, We Got a Love Thing, and Keep on Walking. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Cece Peniston here on Deeper Than Music Radio. How you doing?
I'm doing good, and yourself?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Cannot complain.
Hello?
So, I was doing some further research. I didn't realize you've done a lot of stuff in your career prior to becoming a singer. First, after post-career, you were the first female artist to perform in apartheid. After apartheid Africa. Also, you were Miss Black Arizona in 1989, Miss Galaxy in 1990. I guess my first question is, how was that experience to perform in post-apartheid Africa? That's huge. The first female foreign performer to perform in post-apartheid Africa, Africa.
You know what? It was such an unbelievable feeling, and for me, it's in my heart and head is always. That's the motherland, the beginning. It's just, to be the first, Black woman historically to do that, to come after apartheid was such a blessing for me. And when I hit the stage, it's like my arms just had chills. You know how you get chills on your body, and the crowd was like, Cece. And they were singing Finally, and they were happy I was there. And it's funny because I had no idea that they even knew my music to that degree. I knew they knew like Finally and stuff like that because they said I was popular, but they knew the stuff I didn't just put out as like major hits, like Searching and just like all the house stuff over there. I didn't know people in South Africa loved house music so much.
Also, speaking of that, Billboard magazine in 2016 named you one of the top dance club artists of all time, number 42. And the music is timeless. One interesting thing that I learned about Finally was that you wrote that song in chemistry class.
Oh, yeah, I was definitely not paying attention to the... And you know why? Because it's like in my heart, it wasn't that I didn't want an education, because my grandmother was like really funny. She's like, baby, whatever you do, get your degree. So that's why I at least graduated from JUCO. But in my heart, I always knew that I was going to be a singer. And so I was like, I don't know nothing about Pi Square, but I do know about these lyrics on this sheet. So I started writing poetry because, it's also one of the things like I wasn't very good, I would say, expressing my feelings at that point in time. So that was my way of saying the things that I needed to say.
Yeah, because it also, research said that you were, the song was about in hopes of you dating once you got into college. Because I always wonder when I heard the song, you described the man of your dreams. I wonder who she talking about, But then to get the backstory of the actual song, is like, wow, okay.
You know what is funny? Because the man came afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Man came after. Yeah, I brought him to fruition. Look, it was funny because I was out, and then I went on a blind date, and a friend of ours had introduced me to my first husband, who was in the military, and he used to write poetry to me. And it's funny because it was like that came to my mind, and then we ended up getting married. We were married for about probably almost a year, and then I kind of kept traveling on the road, so it makes it hard when you're moving around to maintain a marriage. But he definitely was there for a while.
Wow. And speaking of military family, you're from Dayton, Ohio. You were also come from a military family as well.
Yes, my dad was a master sergeant, and he retired as a master sergeant. And we came to Phoenix when I was about probably 6 years old. And we ended up staying here. I lived in like Teaneck in New York for about a year, but I always came back to Arizona because like my whole family's here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because we talked earlier And like for me, finally, that song reminds me of. I come from a military background. Both of my parents were in the Navy. That song reminds me of when we transferred to New Orleans to Cherry Hill, New Jersey. So that song reminds me of my introduction to the East Coast from moving from the South.
I love
Man,
it. Yeah, that's what's up. And you know what? People don't know those are such, you have fond memories in different places, especially when you're in a army, military, navy family. You move around a lot, and when you find some place like you call home, and Phoenix was that place. It's like, wow, you know what I mean? So it's always been that way
no,
for me.
that's pretty cool. And then I'm trying to think. So you were living in Arizona at the time, and then I know you met up with a producer that helped you with Finally, and then that was the start of your career, the start of the astronomical rise of your career and your album, the first album. But first, Finally was just a single, and then it did so well that you had to rush with an album, correct?
Yes, it's funny because the first single had come out, which was Finally, which I had no idea was going to blow up that way. They were just kind of like, hey, I had done the backgrounds for Overweight Pooch on A&M, and they were like, hey, we need another song. And I was like, okay, I have a song for you. I don't know if you're going to like it or not, because, I was new to the business. I was real green and innocent, and they were like,
Yeah.
okay, send it. And it turned out to be Finally. And then it was like, hey, you have a hit. People love it. And you're about to travel the world. And I was like, I said, what? They're like, yeah, you're about to be a star. I was like, oh snap, it's coming true. So then after that, when I would do shows on the road, we would have off days. And on those off days, I'd be in the studio and we would just be finishing up tracks. And it's funny because I feel like Finally was one of those albums that was kind of weird. And I'm going to say it in this way. I had dance on that album, I had R&B on that album, and I had ballads on that album. Whereas there were some artists that had just dance, I had a variety of stuff. And I think
Yeah.
that's what made it unique.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool. And I see that you also worked with some Crystal Waters, co-wrote a song on there as well. And I remember like Finally and We Gotta Love thing, it kind of had a dance flavor, but Keep On Walking had that more hip hop a vibe to it. And the crazy thing is too, like that song came around the time with like Mary J. Blige as well. So it was on that level of like what was her first song?
You
Oh man, I
remind
can't
me?
remember.
You,
Hey,
you remind me, yes. That one?
yeah, that album. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
that was my cut. You don't understand.
Yeah,
It's like I was another artist, but I loved her. I loved her. I loved her music.
I
Yes.
just remember you two were in heavy rotation around that time. But
It,
like you said, you had a variety of flavor where she was like hip hop soul. You had a whole variety. Like I said, that just reminds me of just eighth grade and then moving to New Jersey. So how was the experience though? Like writing a song, then it becoming a hit, and then just going on tour. Like was it kind of like a whirlwind of just
It
because
was
it seemed
weird. It was weird for me, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I was just so normal. I'm just so me, and I'm still that way to this day. And a lot of people don't believe it. They're like, "You're so down to earth and just real." I said, "Well, I've been through things. I've traveled the world. I came from a family like, we weren't rich growing up, but we had a great household. There was always food on the table. Like we were good. I had two great parents and brothers and sisters, but." For me, it was like all of a sudden it was like I was just little Cece, and it's like, oh, now I get to play dress up. So it's like this other thing happens when I get on stage, I feel like, or when I walk out. It's like I give you Cece Peniston on the stage and I give you Cecilia at home because I'm me. And I
Mhm,
think
mhm.
that is the thing in the formula. I think that the reason why I've probably been in the business so long is because I still am relatable to people. At least I try to be. And
Yeah.
I also like to have a good time, and I'm real off the cuff, and I'm funny sometimes. I feel like I'm funny. I'll say some stuff out of pocket. They be like, "Wait a minute, what'd you say?" I'm like, I know my mouth. My mom used to get on me all the time, so I think those are the little things that it's like I'm a little crock pot of different things that people just really don't know.
Yeah, because you also got to like perform for the Pope, the inauguration for Bill Clinton. I mean, how were all those experiences? I mean, was there ever a time, or even now in your career, like do you have like a wow moment, like man, this is crazy right now?
Man, those were all wow moments. I mean, just doing the apartheid was a wow moment. I got to do things I feel like some people in my genre didn't get a chance to do. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like I was blessed in that way. Like just being able to, when I did the shows for Clinton and President Clinton, right? I took pictures with him, and I said, can I put my arm around you, Bill? My mom was like, you don't call him Bill. What is wrong with you? You know how black mamas be. You know how black mamas will grit their teeth. They're like, you don't do that. And I was like, Mom, I'm just being me. She was like, she said, you can't just say Bill. What's wrong with you? So, and she kind of laughed at me, and I think they laughed because I just wasn't on protocol at the time, but I was just being so me. And then the
Hmm.
other thing was when we did the, audience for the Pope. It was me, Thelma Houston, Diane Reeves, Lois Walden, and Andrea Bocelli was there. And I was like, he was such an amazing vocalist as well. So, like, Thelma Houston. And, so just for me, like, I'm one of those people where it's like people may tell me they love my music, but there is no question that the people that were on the bill, even like Phoebe Snow and all them doing Woodstock, Shaka Khan. We had a whole just a different array of people. It's like I love their music too, so it's like it's a blessing for me too to hold the stage with fellow peers and performers.
Black Girl Rocks. Black Girl Rocks. Like you came with it. Like that was I like when they do like now when they do pieces because I feel like okay, a perfect example. So at one of my job, somebody was like, Will Smith was a rapper, and I'm like, are you serious? Kind of looking like, you know what I mean? I feel like one thing that the younger generation they don't really appreciate or research the history. Like for example, like great artists, you know how people pay homage, and I like that with the Black Girls Rock show that you did recently. I like how everything sound fresh. The energy was there. How was that?
Man,
How did
that
you feel?
was so amazing. That was so amazing. I feel like, when you do award shows, those are the main people. It's like that's your peers. It's almost like high school. And they'll let you know or not if they like it too. You know what I'm saying? It's like you
Yeah,
got the whole TV land, but you got your peers sitting in the audience. And when you see fellow performers and those fellow performers are standing up and they're like, go CC, and it's like, yo, what's up, y'all? I love y'all too. You know what I mean? It was
yeah,
great because I had a connection with Brandy. Brandy was in the audience, and we did a little backstage thing that if people looked at my Instagram, we did. And it was like my mother's birthday. I felt like there were people who hadn't seen me for a while.
yeah,
That like just on TV, like on a platform like that. And I feel like it gave people a nice little reminder, like, oh, okay, yeah. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's not that people really forget about you. They just haven't seen you in a minute. It's just an
yeah,
out of sight,
yeah,
out of mind thing. It's not a personal thing.
yeah. And you we talked last time about the your first Apollo performance. Was that kind of like the same thing? Like, look, I'm gonna be in the perform the Apollo. And, the Apollo lets you know if they don't like you. Right?
Man, I'm telling you, the first time I did that, I was like, man, I'm about to call Earl. I was so nervous because I was new. I was like I said, I was really innocent. I had come from Arizona. I hadn't really traveled the world like that. And they were like, hey, the Apollo is a hardcore audience. And I was like, yeah, I know. I was like, okay. And I said to myself, I said, Cece, just do what you do. Just do what you do. And so I went in and it was me and the dancers and they loved it. And they were like, well, can she come back again? And I was like, man, it's like, just do what you do. It's just one of those things to say, if you always just be exactly who you are, that's what people love the most.
Yeah, no, that's true. So, how do you feel now? Because you're an artist that came out in the '90s, and then like you still make music. I'm sure the last album was in 2007. How do you feel like the music business has evolved between then and now?
Actually, you know what? It wasn't the last album was in 2007, but I put out several singles under, just so you know, under my label. There was a song called Hot. There was, and that did pretty good. And then I did Purple Funk that made Billboard, so that was cool. There was a couple
Oh,
of little
okay.
things. Yeah, no, I just, people don't always know. It's a different marketing game. But I will say this: I feel like the way that the everything has changed is before we had a publicist. Now we have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and people kind of run their own thing. Not that you can't have a publicist, because I still have one, because that's a different reach. right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then now it's like people appreciated the mystique of an artist, and now they appreciate knowing you. And if they don't know you, they don't care. It's like, well, we don't know who you are. And it's
Yeah.
like not really like they want to know your personal business. And I'm like, damn it, man, can we have a part that y'all don't know? Y'all get our whole damn life, bio, signature, everything online. Shoot, can we have something that's ours? And they're like, no. And they don't even mean no harm, sweetie, you know?
Yeah. No, it's funny. I have to like I damn the TikTok. Like my daughter TikTok, and I have to tell her, like, Olivia, you have to appreciate your private life. Like everything don't gotta be on, Instagram, or you don't have to be on all the time. And I feel like people feel like they have to be on all the time. And it's like, my favorite thing is when people you go to a dinner and you see everybody on the phone. It's like, well, you're at dinner, put the phone down. And like we said last time we talked about Aaliyah, rest in peace, Aaliyah. That was one of the things about Aaliyah was her mystique, right? But now it's like, I feel like sometimes it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. Like another question I have for you: do you feel like because like social media and everything is so accessible that you have to be on all the time? Like, say for instance, if you're in public and somebody makes you mad, okay, let me watch it, because everybody gonna pick up their phone and be like, oh, wait a minute, on TMZ, Cece Peniston, then you know what I mean? Do you feel like the pressure of that, or?
You know what? I'm funny about talking in hotels. Like people laugh at me because I turn on TVs. I'd be like, nope, hold on. They're like, why are you like that? And you put tissue in the little peephole. I said, because I've seen too many things. I was like, I said, you looking out and see I looking back at you. I was like, damn that. I was like, no. So just to answer your question, one of the things I hate is when you go to dinner with people and they are on their phone. I would call people out. They're like, Cece. I was like, you got real people sitting right here, and you rather be on the phone all the damn time. I'm like, let's have a real conversation. I'll be getting in their ass. They hate when I do that. And I'm like, no, we got real people in moments. I can go if you want. They be like, no, no, no. I'm like, okay. So then one thing, I feel like I'm going to be me. And if there's a problem, I may be like, hey, let's address this over here. I will do my best to do that, because I just know someone's going to get a hold of it, and what they're going to do is chop it up, and they're going to put out what they want.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
you just have to be as authentic as you can. One thing I try to do, like I said, is be authentic. If I got a problem with something, I'll go to the person. If that doesn't resolve it, then I'm like, then it's just not going to be resolved because they don't want it to be. And that's just how I really feel. I say, people, if it's a true friend of yours or whatever it is, with social media, if I get mad and someone catches it, then guess what? Yep, I was mad, and go. No, for real. That's what I do. I've just, there's no other way to do it. Be real.
Yeah, and you have to. And I feel like, and I guess one of my questions is, I feel like, and maybe you can answer this, I feel like some aspects of the entertainment business can be fake, fickle. And a lot of people kind of get lost in who's their real friends and who's not their real friends.
Oh my God, yes. Can we talk about that part? You know what I've realized? That when you tell people no, they don't like it. Even if you said yes 40 other times, people have become really shallow and entitled to me. And it's like, well, no. Then they be like, what's that? No. And it's like, I never realized how powerful a word that was until I started saying it more. Because one thing about me that people know is I'm very giving, I'm very loving. And I feel like some people have taken that kind of weakness. And then when I get to no, they'd be like, that little meme with the dog turning around backwards and his eyes be looking crazy. That's how they get to looking like. And I just feel like, there has to be some type of boundaries and intention when you're working on things, because I feel like goal setting is like one of my main things that I do. And people get mad off of hashtags because I didn't hashtag somebody or at them. I swear to God, they were like, well, I just feel like the straw that broke the camel's back. I was like, excuse me? I said, I don't recall us even getting into an altercation in the first place, ever.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, you just wanted to look for a reason. No worries. I will unfollow and not tag you ever again or at you. How about that? We don't even have to worry about it because we won't even be working together.
And you know what's funny? I feel that like social media is killing social skills.
It is.
Whatever happened to having a conversation? Perfect example was one of my coworkers moved into my neighborhood, and he's like, yeah, I met my neighbor and we were all cool. And he's like, the other day my dog was barking real loud. He's like, he put me on blast on the Facebook HOA page. He could have just said, hey neighbor, but he's over here dogging me out on the social medias. I see him in person. He's like, all good to go. And I'm like, yeah, unfortunately that's how it is now. Like, you never really know. I said, you spoke to something else that I talk about. Is like, I tell people, when you bend over backwards and don't have integrity, people expect you to do that all the time. You know what I mean? And it's good that you set a precedence, like, no, this is what I will and this is what I won't do. But I feel like social media is just killing all types of social skills with people.
I definitely agree. You know what the problem is? People can't say, you know what, I was wrong on this part. And they can't admit and say, hey, you know what, I'll take accountability for that. That's what I don't understand. Like for me, if I come to somebody, it's like, and what I realized is people be like, oh, I understand. And it's like you're sitting there waiting to be like, if you wrong somebody, you should say, I apologize. So if you say, and it's just like, what are you apologizing for? It's like, understand that if someone's coming to you, if they were good to you, if someone said, hey, I want to sit down with you and talk to you, then let's talk it out and move past it. Let's be adults. And it's funny because I put up a meme like that the other day, actually, and yesterday, and it said, what did it say? It said it said conversations need to be had in public. You need to feel tones, you need to feel energy, and facial expressions. All that needs to be felt.
Yes.
So, you know, it said, this is what it said exactly. A lot of conversations need to be had in person. Tones need to be heard. Facial expressions need to be seen and energy felt. Because someone can hide behind a text and be passive aggressive and be like, no, everything's all good. And they got their arms crossed while they're doing and poking their mouth out. So it's just like, you know, it's just, I just feel like it's just at a certain point, you know, you just got to just let it do what it do. Folks,
yeah, that's funny too. Because I tell people, I'm like, look, I'm old school. I like to talk, reach out and touch somebody. I'm not going to sit here and text you all day. Like, and you can't read sarcasm. You know, you can't read certain things could be interpreted a whole different way. And I like that you said you addressed the issue, because I also was researching that there was like a little miscommunication between you and Monica. Yeah. And then you reached out to Monica and like, look, that wasn't the situation.
Absolutely. I feel like if you're wrong, say it. Just say, hey, you know what? That wasn't my intention. I'm sorry that you took it that way, but this is what it was. You know what's funny though? I've reached out to people and I've done that. And do you know they still have not believed me? I'm like, do you know how many entertainers are really selfish and they don't give a care? I was like, they will dismiss people, be like, I'm not working with them no more, period. Tell them I'm not working with them. I'm good on them. I was like, wow. And they really are like that. I've seen it and I've heard it. And the thing about it is, I'm one of them people, like, if I care, if I'm working with you, then I will say something about it. I will just, hey, let's talk it out.
Yeah.
But some things you have to realize, and this is just in life, the narrative was going to be what the narrative is. On their end, they're going to receive what they want to receive. And if it wants to be resolved, it will be. And if not, it won't be. I'd rather give you love and light and make your ass laugh. That's just how I am. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And let's have a good time. I like to do work where it doesn't feel like work. And all my people know, let's laugh and sing. If you look at my Instagram, you'll see that one thing about us is we laugh and talk. Me and Cora and Angela were always on there acting silly. Like, she was mad about her plane flight, right? Oh, she was like, well, I didn't get no upgrade. I said, you being a brat. I said, brat, didn't you just get upgraded on the last flight? Mm-hmm. So then I said, I put up the ticket and I put, now what? And then I had her on the end. I said, are you happy now? I said, she had a whole meal. She was like, I'm very happy. I said, shut the hell up, Angela. And people were laughing on the thing. I said, she had a whole meal. Like Snapchat, you know how you can change your voice? So we all play around.
No, so life is short. Life is one thing that I've learned is life is short, and you got to live your life for you. And like you said, you can't change it. Sometimes people are, especially on the internet, people talk not to listen. They speak to be heard. They already have their opinions and their thought processes. So it's like, whatever. Okay. Let's agree to disagree and keep it moving. with also, you mentioned that you've had some independent releases, so you're doing independent. You do your own thing now.
Yes, yes, yes. I do have my own thing, but I also have a song coming out on Sony coming up too. That I did. So yeah, I'm doing my own. I feel like we're in a day and an age when you can, do some of those releases. Then why not do them? The problem is that people don't know that when you're the record company, there's still cost involved with that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was gonna ask you, how do you feel now? The difference between now, where back in the '90s there were a lot of middlemen, and I feel like there was actually artist development, but now with technology, you can put something out. Anybody can put something out and just, push it to the world. Like, how does that feel now? Do you like the way it was back then, or do you like it better now with more range to kind of not need a middleman and do it on your own?
There's good and bad to both. I feel like, you know what? I felt like back in the day, I felt like there was an exclusivity where people was like, hey, what's the new video coming out? I remember when I got signed. Not everybody got signed. There was some type of, it was exclusive. You had to work hard for it. It's like now everyone can put music out, which is good too, because now you're seeing your money. A lot of times, with publishing or record companies, sometimes they're not paying the artist. So it's like the artist gets a chance to win. So that's the beautiful thing. The artist gets a chance to win if you do it right. But there's a lot of costs still associated with being the independent. You can have something that goes viral, and that will go, that will make you a star. And then you have the other things that happen, like you actually have the money to do the marketing on radio and different platforms, Billboard, Track Source. So it's a win in certain ways and a loss in others. Because then you don't know who's what. It's just saturated.
Oh, yeah. And then it's hard. Like you said, artists, like, it's a music business, and we don't necessarily know we're more with the music. But then when you're indie, you have to learn the business and the ins and outs. And then with the saturation, I feel like, especially being independent, the challenge is the marketing, because you have to separate yourself from all these people that are releasing things. And we never heard of you having any TLC issues, or were there any things in the business that you were like, oh, I didn't see that coming, or like, hey, wait a minute, because they always say, like, when an artist first signs, their contract is bad, but you never had that. It seems like you were able to navigate and thrive without having those issues.
There was a lot more than people thought.
Well, okay.
But like right now, I can't really say everything, and I'm sure you saw everything that was going on with me.
Yeah.
But I will say that there was definitely, people are slick about changing titles, and it's just a lot of different things. It's like, if you look at I had talked about this before, Priscilla Queen of the Desert. That was one of those things where, I felt that there could have been adjustments made. Mm-hmm. And then just, there's people will see you all over the place and not understand how information is supposed to be. Let's just put it like that. There were times when, I will say this much. I had accountants who were, had stolen my money, stolen over $1 million from me or more.
Wow.
And I had to get that, and I had to get that money back. I wasn't doing well, and trying to check in. It's funny because I do poetry, right? And I remember doing a poem, and it said, one of the lines said, checking in hotels sometime, knowing my credit card wouldn't go through, while people at the front desk were like, Miss Peniston, how are you? And those were a lot of like uneasy, embarrassing moments, because you're sitting there like, please let my shit go through. I got a show tonight, and I don't really need my ego jacked up. But from that, I became very angry. I remember talking about this on Unsung, and my mom would call me sometime trying to talk to me. I was like, Mom, I just don't want to talk. I'm just mad about this because I don't bother people's money. And I said, Lord, like why I gotta work so hard, right? And the answer was, because you would quit if you had what you needed, because you're that type of person. You don't need mills and mills and mills. You just need what you need. Mm-hmm. And his answer was, I need you out healing hearts. So you're going to have to go through this to make you stronger. And that was the answer.
And it's crazy you say that, because actually one of my friends was Vince Thomas. He was one of Lou Pearlman's last boy band before he got all caught up with Us Five. And then Lance Bass came out with that boy band Curse. to us on the outside looking in, you're on TV, you're everywhere. We're like, oh man, they're making money, you know, but we don't know the struggles that you go through. And then like, I'm pretty sure, like we would never think Cece Peniston had to worry about checking into a hotel. And it's crazy, like stories that come out now of celebrities and their struggle. I'm glad that you made it through, because it seems like on the outside and looking in, you thrive. So what would you give somebody that is young and aspires to be like you? What advice would you give them coming into this industry?
I would tell them to definitely really want it. Don't, always dare to dream, but really want it, because this business is not easy. It's hard. And just when you think you got it handled, guess what? There's some new technology. There's new things that come out all the time. And guess what? If you don't want it, there's an artist around the corner with holes in his tennis shoes that's taking a bus from Nashville that came to LA that wants it more than you. So just really want it, and just always look for ways to reinvent yourself. How can you be different? Sometimes people look and they're like, oh, they got this person got this person got that. Okay, but what can you do different from that? And that was one of the reasons why when I went through my struggle, I started making outfits. Me and my girls would get our hot glue gun out. Like even now, I'll do some stuff. We did some stuff. We did a light up tulle skirt for a glitter box. And people were like, that is so dope. Where did you get that? Well, a friend of mine, her name is Charmaine Charm Squad. She had made me the tulle skirt, and Angela and I got in here. And we threw them lights on there on that tulle skirt, and people loved it. It's on my Instagram. But a lot of the stuff we do, it's like sometimes you see something, you're like, I'm going to repurpose this or repurpose that because that's something I enjoy. So always reinvent. Always know there's someone around the corner that wants it, and set goals and intention. And look, always sign your own checks.
Yes.
Please sign your own checks. Be involved in your career. Don't just be like, my manager gonna handle that. Okay, well, what is he handling?
Yeah.
What is he handling? Ask questions. And sometimes, you know what, people have gotten irritated with me. And they're like, you're just asking too many questions. I'm like, I'm sorry that you think so. And now you're putting me on notice that you're feeling uncomfortable about the question I'm asking, and I'm getting uncomfortable with you. So the fact that you don't want to answer got me feeling some type of way, and go.
Like saying,
So
ignorance can be costly.
it can be. And I don't feel like I said, that it's not coming from a place of aggression. It's coming from a place of curiosity and wanting to be greater as, a person, as an artist. That's the kind of questions that you need to ask. Hey, what is this about, and why is this like this?
Yeah. Like you remember that New Edition movie, and when I think it was I forget, Michael Bivins, they looked at the back of the album and he's like, wait a minute, I thought we were signed with such and such, but their manager was screwing them over. And then they go to the record label and he's like, you should have read your contract. Welcome to the music industry. I was like, man, that's cold, but
It's real cold. And I saw the movie, and you know what the problem is? People can read, but do you understand?
Yeah.
The bad thing is, as an artist, you're up to the interpretation of the people that help you sign that contract. So if the person that helped you sign it was a manager, and hey, let me get my lawyer to help you. And if they're in cahoots, and if they want to just do you dirty, they can. So you have to be open to the fact that, you know what? Always check your own information. That is true. And if you're not sure about something, or something looks weird, or, hey, what does this mean? Have somebody explain it to you. Say, I feel uncomfortable about this. And they may explain it. And if you don't get the explanation from them, go to somebody else. Go to Google. Go to another lawyer. There's things that you can do. And it's hard because sometimes people don't have the money to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what's hard. Even now, artists don't always have the money to fight everything that they can see as an issue. And guess what? People get over because they don't have the money to fight it. And so it goes unsaid, or it goes just left sitting there.
Well, you're like, I really want this. And if I say no or push back, I may lose this opportunity. So I want to be famous. I'll just deal with it.
Yeah, they want the famous part, and the other thing is they feel like membership has its privileges. If I rock the boat, are they gonna still rock with me? And those are hard places to be, because there's certain people that run the industry, and they'll say, hey, we don't want to deal with that person.
Yeah. So
And if they don't
again,
want to deal with you, it is what it is. What it is. But then you have to, like I said, you have to go on your truth. You have to know how to say what you need to say. Be be in, be, how can I say, be specific, but at the same time, don't be aggressive, or you know what I'm saying. Don't overdo. Just
yeah.
state what the facts are. Basically, was what I'm saying.
So Cece, thank you for your time and being on the show. My last question I want to ask is, what does music mean to Cece Peniston?
Music is my whole world. Music soothes my soul. Music makes me smile. Um, Music has created memories for so many people, including myself, and it's put food on my plate. It's traveled me around the world to places I could only look at on a map and say I want to go there. So it has been a blessing for me. So if I had to say anything, is music has been a blessing for me. And I thank everybody that has ever supported me or ever given me love and been in my corner. I appreciate that.
Like I said, it's all, I mean, interviewing you, like when you came out, like I said, that was a soundtrack, like in my mind, because people are like, Mark, every time we hear a song, you say the date and where you were in life, and I'm like, Cece Peniston, finally, we got a love thing. Keep on walking. That's all. When I moved to New Jersey, you know what I mean? 8th grade, moving to my transition from New Orleans to New Jersey. So, yeah,
Well, that
definitely.
really makes me smile. So I appreciate that. And, that means I did my job. That God blessed the world with me having a pen and paper to write, like paint a picture for people that they'll always remember. So thank you.
Oh, no, not a problem. And where can we, like, as far as shameless promotions, where can people hear Cece Peniston? You got any upcoming shows?
Yes,
Shameless
I
promotion
do.
time.
Yes, actually, you can catch me on, here's all my social media handles. I got a brand new YouTube channel. Someone had hacked my other one, so I got a brand new YouTube channel. It's me with the red on, y'all, Cece Peniston. Then I have my Twitter, Cece_Peniston, Cece Peniston on Instagram, the real Cece Peniston on the Facebook fan page. And then the shows that I have coming up next are, I'll be in Israel coming up. I have London coming up. I have Atlantic City coming up on February 8th. So yeah, I'll be moving around. Some things are just on the calendar right now, but I'm not promoting yet. But they're
Okay.
coming up. So just watch me on Instagram. That's where I am the most.
Okay, that's right. We'll follow you on Instagram, and like you said, you and your friends on Instagram laugh and have a good time, upgrade
Yeah.
ways. Hey,
I'm telling you, we are always pulling shenanigans. If you go back, you'll be like these two right here. I can't.
well, hey, Cece, again, thank you for your time and sharing your story behind the music. And ladies and gentlemen, here we go again, another great interview with the legendary Cece Peniston here on Deeper Than Music Radio.
Deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth is deeper than music. Deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. It's deeper than music. Deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth is deeper than music. Deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. It's deeper than music.